Check 1, 2. No, you're fine. So honored that you're here for tonight's what I call a tag team Chautauqua. Now that doesn't mean they're in competition with one another, our two presidents. That means that they are in tandem contending for the greater good of Lincoln Parish, the unity in the community. And by the way, my name's Rick Godley. I'm the director of the Lincoln Parish Museum, and you're in a house built in 1886, the first house in Ruston to have indoor plumbing. It has been set aside for events for the community, for the parish, for the greater good of all in our parish. And we are in the second year of what I call our second renaissance. COVID had us shut down for about 3 years, and now I've been here 1 year, so we're cleaning out the cobwebs, getting organized, getting cataloged, because this has been around since 1976, and kind of like as we age up, the body falls into a little disarray, so we got to do some maintenance, and we've been maintaining it. And tonight is one of the biggest nights in this past year. We've had some Chautauquas. Now, let me explain what a Chautauqua is. Adrienne LaFrance Wells of West Monroe, she called it the Chautauqua movement, started in the United States in the late 1800s, 1890s, early 1900s, and it is a TED Talk. They didn't have the technology back then. They had railroads, they had mineral springs, and so the railroads engineered, pun intended, ways to get people all across the country and then have speakers come in. Matter of fact, the gentleman came to the Chautauqua in Ruston by the name of William Jennings Bryan, who ran for president, I think 6 times. Never got elected, but I understand he was a great orator. And so this was an opportunity for everyone to come and get knowledge and to get wisdom from speakers who would travel the Chautauqua circuit. I got to make a couple of corrections too, and as once this ends, by the way, with our president's tag team Chautauqua, to brag on, we have 2 prestigious universities in Lincoln Parish, and there is no coincidence to that. So we're going to learn a little bit tonight. But back here, This house has 22 rooms. Ruston who here has heard that Ruston used to be called Russ Town? Anybody ever hear that? It never was called Russ Town. It wasn't like the Petticoat Junction was down there and Uncle Joe got on the train and came, let's go down to Russ Town there, girls. And no, nothing was here prior to the railroad. The railroad changed everything. And in the back, we have a blueprint from 1883 designed out of New York, like Manhattan Island, where the avenues go one way and the streets go the other way. And it is a designed community. So this Wesley Harris, and he said on the Sesquicentennial Committee, we need to do something, to raise money because we have other projects we want to do. And one of the project is all the proceeds from the sale of these coins are going to a historical marker restitution, or restoration or replacement. Because Robert Russ's marker is gone. His house was over here where the water tower is. We want to get that replaced. Pardon me? What is it? Well, I'm talking about right now. Anyway, so we want to get that put back up and put that on the Rock Island Greenway. That's one marker that's been cited. The second marker is the 1906 colored Chautauqua in Grambling. That's on the historical marker. That's missing. We want to have that replaced. The third one, Vienna. Vienna is missing. Now, a gentleman stepped forward, and his name's John Sutton. He had seen the article and the program that we're trying to do to get the markers restored. He says, I want to pay for one that's missing. Oh, really? What one is that? The John Stowe Cemetery, which is out off Farmerville Highway, one of the oldest cemeteries in Lincoln Parish. And I'm going to pay for it because he was my great-great-great-grandfather, and I'm doing this for my grandchildren. Now, there's a man that has an understanding of the moment with a respect for the past and looking to the future. And these these coins, if I can get one out, did I give mine away? They're awesome. And Wesley, I commend you on this because on one side, black and gold, 150. On the other side, it's blue and red, the Sesquicentennial. So that's our two universities. So I was out mowing the yard, and I do that, not lately, but when I do, I talk out loud, and Kathy, my wife, wonders who I'm talking to. That's where I get ideas. So I said, you know what? What about the possibility of getting our two presidents of the two universities coming to this house in one place, in one space, to do a Chautauqua, a little TED Talk? Well, and I got to give props to Mike Stone, because he also, we had made happen. We had all 5 mayors, check it, 6 mayors of Lincoln Parish in this room doing a coin ceremony. I said, like, well, what about the two presidents? I know they're busy. I know a lot's going on. And Mike said they both jumped at the opportunity. So President Gallot, President Guice, I'm honored. We're honored that you're here tonight. And we're going to let you have the floor. Again, it's a tag team. It's not a contention, a competition. It is a contention for just promoting all the good things we have, because we have a lot of good things here in this parish. And anyway, so I'm sure there'll be a question and answer. That's fine. This is a laid-back affair, and you are all welcome here anytime. This is the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society, and my hashtag is #Let's create a remarkable future. Let's not be contentious. We can create a remarkable future when we work together. So We flipped a coin, pun intended.
And my response always is, well, Mom, it was required reading for history students at Grambling. So I have read your book multiple times, but I just need a quick answer. So it has always been great to have the Grambling historian that I can also call Mama. Grambling, of course, was founded in 1901 when a group of black farmers in north central Louisiana wanted to create educational opportunities for blacks in the community. And of course, we're talking about a period just 35 years post Civil War, post emancipation. So blacks didn't have the opportunity to attend schools of choice. So these farmers got together and sent a letter to Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute. It's now Tuskegee University, but sent a letter to Booker T. Washington and asked if he could send someone to start a school. And I know many of you have heard this 1,000 times, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell the story because I know many of you have heard it before. But Booker T. Washington sent a gentleman named Charles Phillip Adams. I'm told he was 6'9" and 300 pounds, a big guy. Who was needed, someone of his size, stature, and determination was needed for such a monumental task as coming to rural north central Louisiana to found a school. It went through various different names over the years, ultimately becoming Grambling College and Grambling State University. Our first bachelor's degree that was awarded in 1946 was in teacher education. So really core to who we are as an institution, certainly as a college and then as a university, has been teaching and preparing teachers to go out. And of course, Dr. Danielle Williams here is one of our professors in the College of Education, which is our oldest college. So we've always been focused on our core mission of providing opportunities for African Americans. But of course, our student body is very diverse now. Just this past year, and we're still in registration, so I don't have the final numbers for this year. But last year, we had students from all 64 Louisiana parishes, 37 states, and 27 foreign countries. So we truly are a diverse group, and we're real proud of being able to provide educational opportunities for everyone, and been doing it for the last 121 years. A couple of things I'll say, and then I'll pass it off to my mentor and my friend, Dr. Guice, to talk about Louisiana Tech. You know, we have Grambling that really made it possible for us to survive. One that I will mention is T.L. James, and I was telling the story earlier that Trot Hunt came to visit me at Grambling one day, and I was showing. He looked up and saw it was T.L. James Hall. And he said, I had no idea there was a building named for my great-grandfather on Grambling's campus. And I said, there was a point in time, had it not been for his generosity and the generosity of others, this school would not be here today. And so although we're 5 miles down the road, we have a shared history and a shared a shared history and mission of ensuring that we've had this incredible university to be able to provide educational opportunities for all these years. So I'll stop right here and pass it off to Dr. Les Guice from Louisiana Tech, and we'll hear from him.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you all, Rick and everyone, for inviting me and being a part of this. I've been looking forward to it. I wanted to take a little different approach on this. I'm a resident of Lincoln Parish now for 52 years, born in Ouachita Parish and spent a lot of my life over in Morehouse Parish. 1873 was when this parish was formed. I wasn't around at that time. But I was interested in what difference did it make to this parish to have two universities present. And so I did a little bit of research out there. I said, well, let me look at Lincoln Parish and see how it changed over that time in population. So in 1880, which is the first census after Lincoln Parish was formed, there were 11,000 residents on the census. 2020, there are 48,000. It was a 340% increase. Now that sounds good. So I said, well, I came from Morehouse Parish. What did that look like? Well, in 1880, Morehouse Parish had 31,000, 3 times the size of Lincoln Parish. Today, Morehouse Parish has 25,000, a decline of 20%. Was it the universities that did that? I said, well, let me go to another parish, Claiborne Parish. Just pulled that one out. 1880 had a population of 19,000. Today, 14,000, a 26% decline. I said, well, let me go to a parish that has 1 university in it, not 2. I went to Natchitoches Parish. And back in 1880, it had 20,000 people, and now it has 38,000 people, or a 90% increase. Now again, Lincoln Parish has had a 340% increase, and I don't know that the numbers are so important there, but having a university presence does put you in a great position for growth and great opportunities. So what else have our universities brought to this community? Just look economically. Our institutional revenues, just based on tuition, per year. Construction, I was doing some does that have? They have residential facilities that they buy, they have the living costs, they pay the taxes, retail, their utilities. And then the universities bring events to town. You got some pretty good football games over there. It'll bring a lot of people in, and we do too. And we have commencements and academic programs where people come from all over to visit our campus, and they stop in Ruston and go to the restaurants and stay in our hotels and just participate in the community and get to learn something about it. But look at the labor. I know if I go over to my hometown of Bastrop in Morehouse Parish, it's really hard to find skilled labor there. But what about Lincoln Parish? We got so much talent here. And so many of our people want to stay here when they graduate because they're good opportunities that have been fed because of the presence of universities. And I know universities aren't the only part of that, but I'm hoping I'm convincing you that universities are a central part of what leads to those opportunities. And what does it do for our medical? You know, we have great hospitals. We have a lot of other services available to us. I think our police and our fire are all better because we have universities present and we have these resources that are coming into our community. And then social impacts. We have a real educated population here. And that benefits all of us. It benefits our schools, and it benefits every aspect of our community. But we also have a diversity of population. And certainly it's the black and the white, but we get people coming here from all over the world, right? I doubt if there's a nation around the world where we haven't had people attending campus at one of our institutions here. And that continues to grow. But there's also this global awareness of our institutions. When you're overseas and you hear Grambling State University, you've heard of it before, right? And I think with Louisiana Tech University that it's the same thing. So that global awareness, and of course that goes back to some of our notable alumni. And we both have many notable alumni that people know their names all across the world. And our faculty too. And I think the institutions also bring great cultural enrichment to us. We have a lot more things that we can do to enhance our culture. And I think it enhances our K-12 schools, right? So as we grow our populations here, we've got good schools, and it provides a better education, and it just feeds on itself. And we just overall have a forward and progressive community, thanks to all of our organizations, our mayors, and all. It's just a progressive, growing community that lays a brighter future. So our universities do play an important role here, and I'm proud to be a part of one of those universities, very proud to be a partner with Rick Gallot. Rick and I have been really good friends for a long time before.
That was a few years ago.
100.
Could y'all talk when a new student steps on campus, how is his experience going to be different or perhaps the same as what you experienced?
I can't even remember back that far. No, I did come here as a 17-year-old 52 years ago. And, you know, it was a little bit smaller, and we're not that much larger than we were back then. I think about 3,000 more students than we were when I first came here. But it was a really strong culture. It was still transitioning from a bachelor institution into a doctoral institution, and I think we've progressed there. One of the things that really attracted me here was Terry Bradshaw. You know, just the year before I came, or 2 years before, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And And by the way, next week we're going to dedicate his statue over on our campus with the new Champions Plaza. But athletics was an important part of what we did back then, and I think the success that our athletics programs had back in the early 1970s and early 80s brought some visibility that has really advanced our institution as a whole, and the same I'm sure that Rick will say. So there's a lot that's changed, but I think we've built upon the strengths that we've had back then and the culture that was established, I think, by people like Coach Joe I, that is still is a part of who Louisiana Tech is, I believe.
Well, for me, and of course, I suspect you all know, I never had any plans to be president of Grambling, all right? So, growing up in the Grambling community, I probably took a lot for granted that I value and appreciate a whole lot now. So, to go to my friend Kenny Patton's house on Adams Street and see Coach Eddie Robinson coming home and getting out of his big Cadillac with his briefcase, right? It was Coach Rob. He's the football coach at Grambling, but not realizing he was such a national, international icon in football. Having 4 NFL Hall of Famers, Willie Davis and Buck Buchanan and Charlie Joyner and help me, Carlton, Willie Brown, yes. Just having, these folk, Doug Williams, and having Willis Reed, all of these were people that I knew and idolized as a kid. These were people who came into my dad's barbershop and ate at Tiger's Inn, a little cafe we had. So I didn't really realize how unique and special this place was. The other thing I'll challenges that we have as a university community now that we didn't have before. There are a lot of influences that exist on the campuses, but there's also so much more technology. Computer Center at Grambling when I was a student was the whole second floor of Charles P. Adams Hall, and I think now your iPhone has about as much, if not more, power than that whole floor of the computer where you had the little cards you had to stick in and do all of that. The technology is just incredible, and the services that we're able to provide for our students to assist them in learning now, and things like cybersecurity and cloud computing, and having virtual reality being used in our history department. I never in a million years thought as a history major at Grambling that one day Dr. Holt, who's our head of our history department, would utilize virtual reality goggles in relation to teaching history. So much has changed, but again, the core mission is still the same. And we back in the 50s, I believe it was, our second president, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones, started the motto, where everybody is somebody. That has not changed. That is something that we still, hold very near and dear to all of us, that Grambling is the place where everybody is somebody.
One thing, I wanted to acknowledge the leadership that Louisiana Tech has had. Over the past 3 presidents, it's been, 25 years for F.J. Taylor, 26 years for Dan Renault, and I'm not going to get anywhere near that, but it's 10 years. But if you think about it, and those of us who have been around have known what those 2 men have done, taking us to a doctoral research university, Dan Renault, and introducing special programs and building out facilities. Wiley Tower, we wouldn't have had that without the vision and passion of F.J. Taylor, and how that began to be an identity for the institution, all of those things. So I think that's really important, a continuity in leadership, not just at the president's level, but in other areas. People come and they want to stay. And that's our challenge a lot even today, is to make sure that we keep that environment as much as possible, because you can't do that with pay. You know, you got to try to give them a good work environment. We like to do it with pay, but it's a lot about being in a good place where you like to be able to partner with others. So.
You- You know, our former state senator, Bob Kostelka, had a saying, the answer is money. Now, what's the question? Takes more money to run those programs. So I think that will continue to be the number one challenge, you know, so whether it's deferred maintenance of buildings, you know, roofs, and trying to keep air 104, 106, you know, and then, you know, trying to find the HVAC repairman to actually, and we share a lot of the same challenges. We cry on each other's shoulders quite often about mutual challenges that we experience.
Yeah, and just very similar there. What am I doing? Yeah, I just want to add a little bit onto that financial piece. One of the things that's happening in Louisiana is a declining high school enrollments. Yeah, it's projected to continue to go down. And so what that means, it's going to be harder for us to recruit people from Louisiana to keep our enrollments the same. Now, it's important for us to keep the enrollments the same because each student pays tuition and fees. And if those decline, it really puts a lot of pressure, and you can't fill positions or things like that. So those are some of the things that we're facing. So Rick has always attracted a lot of people from outside of Louisiana, but we're recruiting real heavily in Texas and really going higher in South Louisiana as well, and recruiting a lot of those students up here. But we've got to find ways to grow, and that's big. That's a big important thing. We get about $140 million to run our university. $100 million of that comes from Baton Rouge. $100 million of that comes from tuition and fees. 40 of it comes from Baton Rouge. When I get that $40 million next week, I've got to write a check back to Baton Rouge for $40 million to pay for unfunded accrued liability, health and medicine and the benefits. That doesn't even get to starting to pay the salaries of the people that work at Louisiana Tech. So that's kind of the challenge that we face. That plus the enrollments is really the key.
Electrical and mechanical and in construction. So, but we have 47 main, main degree programs.
You know, we're structured differently, and Rick has graduate programs and doctoral programs as well. Congratulations on your new doctoral program in criminal justice. That's going to be a great addition. But
Trying to get Mike Stone to sign up.
it's hard to say, and I will tell you one thing that we really strive to do is get the alternative certifications. Yeah, certificate programs and stuff is one of the things. I tell you that we're all in higher ed are looking at more and more online programs, not necessarily to serve those. We think it's better if you come to our campus, but we know a lot of people can't get their education by coming to our campus, and so we're trying to develop special programs and means to reach out to broader audiences.
How do y'all feel about your football at this point? And
Come on, Coach. I need your help. Come on over.
That's kind of kicked things off. I just like to know from a president's standpoint, and I bash no coach. Yes, I practice and I keep up with you, guys, with your walking and your pictures and all on Facebook. And Wrigley right down the corner from me.
The expectations are always high for Grambling football, okay? I don't think that's any secret to anyone. And so we're really looking forward to this season. Coach Hugh Jackson in his second season, I think he's had a really good recruiting year. One of the other things that didn't get a lot of publicity last year is he came in his first year. Many of his assistant coaches were hired away before the season even started. So it was like not only was he trying to recruit players, he was having to continue to recruit coaches because they were being recruited away. And so, but we're really excited. We will kick off our season September 2nd in Newark, New Jersey at the Red Bull Stadium. We'll play Hampton University. And just a real quick linkage to Hampton, and I talked about our founder coming from Tuskegee. Well, the founder of Tuskegee Institute came from Hampton University. So there is a three-way linkage between these three HBCUs, Grambling to Tuskegee, Tuskegee to Hampton. So this is kind of like our grandfather we're going to be playing on the 2nd. We're going to beat him bad, right? But we're certainly we're looking forward to kicking off, and the expectations are high.
I met with our athletics director, Dr. Eric Wood, today, and he was very optimistic, particularly on our offense. We've got a really great quarterback I think he's optimistic about, and had a little injury or two that's kind of got us in question on some of the positions, as you know, but that happens all along. We got to still see a big step up in our defense this year, and so we're hoping that's going to happen. But Coach promised me he's going to go to a bowl game. I hope he's listening over the radio, and we're going to try to pick out the best bowl game that we can go to.
We've heard the scripture, without a vision.
People perish. And in our new digital library that has yet to open because of too much to talk about here tonight, there's a quote on the wall in our new digital library, and it reads, "There's no vision too big or too bold for Grambling State University." Now, I'm told I said it at some point. I don't specifically remember saying it, but it's in print now, so I'm going to claim it whether I did or not. And I think for me, again, number one, not aspiring to be in this role, I give credit where credit's due. Number one, that God had a plan for me. Again, not knowing that as a child growing up in this community and knowing all these great legends, that I would one day be entrusted with leadership at this university. You know, thinking about trying to stay attuned with what are not only the jobs of today, but the jobs of 30 and 40 years out. When I first got appointed and Jim Henderson was appointed as assistant president, and this was in 2017, he talked about McKinsey and Company's report of the workforce of 2030. Now, in 2017, 2030 seemed like a long way off. Well, it's 7 years away now. And what this report talked about was that there will be jobs that exist in 2030 that didn't exist in 2017, and jobs that existed in 2017 that will not exist in 2030. So what we have to do is to ensure that our programs, our curriculums are going to fill that gap, and we will be able to provide the workforce. And a lot of it is technology. There are very few things you'll be able to do in the future. I mean, farmers use GPS, you know, to guide the tractors. I mean, there's very little that you will ever do going forward that won't have some level of technology that's involved. So that's really, and for those of you who keep up with this kind of stuff, I did a Clifton Strength Finders assessment. And one of my strengths was being a futurist. So I like looking out over the horizon and kind of around the curve. Now, there's some fine print. I need to have a strong team around me to make sure I don't miss the things that are really close. But so I think that is really the challenge that we have. And I thank God that He has given me a really amazing team of folks who we work with every day to do this, to have someone like Les Guice to support Grambling in getting the cybersecurity program. I mean, he already had cyber engineering. They could very well have gone a totally different way, but understanding that there are hundreds of thousands of open jobs in cybersecurity today, there's no competition. We're all trying to provide a workforce for the unfilled jobs that his school, my school, and several others will never fill because it just continues to grow. So again, I'm thankful that he's been not only my friend, my mentor, but a strong advocate and supporter. And I would dare to say, and I didn't keep up with F.J. Taylor and Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones's relationship, but I would dare to say that the relationship that he and I have is probably the strongest relationship between a Grambling and a Tech president that's ever existed.
Let me give a little bit of perspective on this, and I'll come back to you. So think back 20 years ago. I see a lot of familiar faces, been here 20 years. What did Ruston and Lincoln Parish look like then? And what does it look like now, right, as we walk down the streets and see all the beautiful sidewalks and see the new facilities being developed and all of that. Look at our campus and see the changes. 20 years ago, we hired a master planning firm from Boston called Sasaki. They came in and master planned our enterprise campus. We've got 2 buildings on our enterprise campus now that are dedicated to companies that want to come on our campus and hire our students. Both of them are fully rented out, even though the second one hasn't been finished. It's because we started building the infrastructure and building the city and all of that. So Rick and I are working together with some other community leaders now, very early stages, to say, what does it look like 20 years from now? Because we need to seize the day, right? It's only going to happen if we put plans in place. And our universities can get larger, our communities can get better and have better resources to grow in. And that's what we're striving for, and to create greater education opportunities for everyone. So we haven't stopped, and I don't know if I'll be around 20 years from now, but the work that we do today for 20 years from now will help to drive that opportunity for the future.
I just wanted to say the 2 pictures hanging there, one on the left is Robert E. Russ, and he had the foresight for education and created the Ruston Industrial Institute. And it was where the Civic Center is now.
Yeah, that was Ruston College,
Ruston College, that's
1884 or 5 was when we found it.
And I love the fact that those columns, when that property was donated and the college moved over there, and this just became a school. The other man is Alan Green, and Alan Green, I can't imagine how much property he owned, but up on the White Lightning Road and his cemeteries, there is a cemetery behind his house where he is buried. But it stretched all the way over to the railroad. And he provided a grocery store, and a school for children in Grambling. And that was, I don't know the name of the road or the number, but that area where, well, it started out as a prisoner of war camp, and then it became a tuberculosis hospital, and I don't know what it became. Anyway, along that,
That was Camp Ruston.
Yeah.
oh, okay, got you.
Aren't we blessed to have had people back then that set us off on this course today, you know?
For them to see the value back then.
Yeah, I agree. Rick, I think we used up all their questions.
Well, you worked up an appetite for all of us, and once again, let me, I think this is historic. 2 presidents in one space here, so we would thank President Guice, President Gallot, and for coming out tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. We have cake, we have coins for sale, we have commemorative T-shirts for sale in the back here as well. Feel free to stay, hang out, fellowship, be with one another, and don't be strangers. If you don't use this place, it's not our fault going forward. Thank you so much. 20.